I'm slumming over here.
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry.
I'm slumming over here.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm slumming over here.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm slumming over here.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm slumming over here.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm slumming over here.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm slumming over here.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm slumming over here.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
And it's like,
I'm slumming over here.
Yeah.
We don't need to, like, you can just look at mine.
I'm slumming over here.
Yeah.
oh, Highland.
We don't need to, like, you can just look at
I'm slumming over here.
Yeah.
Oh, Highland.
we don't need to, like, you can just look at
I'm slumming over here.
Yeah.
What are you leaving to go to Big Robot? Oh, Highland.
we don't need to, like, you can just look at
I'm slumming over here. I'm slumming over here. I'm slumming over here. I'm slumming over here.
Damn, go for the pizza. Yeah.
Right.
I'm slumming over here.
Right.
So wait, damn, go for the pizza. Yeah.
Right.
I'm slumming over here. I'm slumming over here.
I'm ready. All right.
Let's rock and roll.
I'm slumming over here.
I'm ready. All right.
Let's rock and roll.
I'm slumming over here.
All right, I will call to order the workshop meeting of the Wednesday, February 9th.
Sorry, it's March.
March 9th. All right, I will call to order the workshop meeting at 6:05 p.m. Roxanne, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bernstein, Commissioner Freeman, Commissioner Kaplan, Vice President Grossberg, President Ruttenberg.
I'm here, even if it's March 9th. All right. Is there a motion to go into closed session pursuant to
Commissioner
the following
Bernstein,
sections of open meeting?
Commissioner Freeman,
Section 2C5.
Commissioner Kaplan, Vice
Real
President
estate
Grossberg,
discussion of
President
whether
Ruttenberg.
certain parcel of property should be acquired.
So
Is
moved,
there a
second.
motion to go into closed?
Before we do that, before we vote,
Commissioner
since we have members of the public here, we give them an estimate how long that's gonna take.
I was gonna get the vote in order.
Okay. All in favor?
Roxanne, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bernstein, Commissioner Freeman, Jen, Commissioner Kaplan, Vice President Grossberg, President Ruttenberg.
I vote aye also. We're going into closed session at 6:06 p.m.
Commissioner Bernstein, Commissioner Freeman, Jen,
Yes.
Commissioner Kaplan,
that when we're in closed.
Vice President
So
Grossberg.
what we're
President
going to do is go into the conference room with the board and staff and
Commissioner Bernstein, Commissioner
25
Freeman.
minutes,
Probably less. Yeah.
probably under 25 minutes, and then we'll come back. We will continue with the open session, and we will defer public comment on the matters on until after we've discussed. Correct?
Yes.
All right, we are in exiting the room now. There was a question. The open session and we're gonna do it in the sequence we decided.
Yeah. Thank you. Watch your cords.
What's the course, Brian?
Brian joined it to YouTube.
Okay. So we fixed the bounds there. See, there's bounds there.
Turn yours off.
I'm muted.
Oh, up top. See F1. Hit the F1 key.
Where's that one?
Next to escape.
Oh,
There. Now minimize.
okay. I was like, why is it doing that? Because I'm muted. Okay, got it. Got it. We fixed it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
People.
There's nothing I can do. That's all we can do. Well, and also since unfortunately, because we had all that happening, people couldn't clearly hear what was going on. This is gonna be a nightmare.
what's going on? Ask him if someone testing audio while we're waiting.
Yes, I just told them, yes, they're trying to fix it.
Hi, everyone. I know we were having audio issues, so for everyone who is currently online and wondering what's going on, we did go into closed section pursuant of 2C5, the purchase or lease of real estate, including discussion on whether a certain parcel of property should be acquired. They should be back within, I would say, momentarily, and once they return, we will resume the meeting. But I do appreciate everyone's patience. We do apologize for the technical issues. It will not be occurring moving forward.
Someone has stepped out. Yeah, we can reconvene. We can reconvene. All right, let's see. What? No. All right, are we on tape? Do what?
Make sure you're talking to the mic.
This microphone? Yes, like that?
Perfect.
Okay. All right, we're going to reconvene into open session. Executive Director Romes, are there any additions to the agenda?
No, 6:23.
I'm sorry, thank you, 6:23. I request moving public comment for items on the agenda to the end of the meeting so that the public can hear tonight's presentation before providing comments. And so this section of public comment is for items not on tonight's agenda. There will be a second opportunity at the end of the meeting for those who wish to comment for items on the agenda. And this will allow the public to hear tonight's presentations before providing comments. Executive Director Romes, are there any members of the public attending tonight's meeting in person who indicated on the sign-in sheet they'd like to address the board for items not on the agenda?
Yes, there is one person, Rick Steinberg. Yes,
Okay.
you may go up to the podium and just,
Please state your name and the address.
and you could speak into the microphone. That would be great.
This is the board. My name is Rick Steinberg, and I live at 2116 St. John's, which is just before Vine Avenue, in a townhouse. And that's the reason I'm here, because I always had a house, and I always had a wonderful garden. And I came here expecting to get a garden plot, and I waited until a couple weeks ago was to sign up for the garden plots, and I didn't get one because I found out there's only 12 garden plots in this city. And the city is very large with condos and apartments and townhouses. And I don't know any numbers because I'm kind of new here. I grew up here, I went away, and now I'm back. And I think there's over 20,000 people here, maybe close to 30, and maybe half of them live in apartments and condos, and they don't have any land. So I'm here to appeal for more land for people to use. And it wouldn't just be old people. I think even young people without any apartments, without any land, would like to do that. So that's about it. I think you should
Okay.
take this seriously and think about it. And I do walk around the old golf course, Highland Park Country Club, and it's a huge piece of property. So people have told me, well, nobody wants to change it because it's new and it's all designed and it's all planned. And I hope that's not true, because that would be a great place for garden plots. And I think you need a lot of them because just to please the public. So if not that place, any other place would be fine.
All right, well, that's a good suggestion. I mean, we're not necessarily thinking about garden plots, but we are now.
That's why I'm here. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steinberg.
Brian, are there any members of the public attending tonight's meeting via Zoom who've raised their hand? Indicated I provide comment for items not on the agenda.
Secretary Hajnowski, is there?
We do. So we have one, and that would be Magdalena. And we're going to go ahead and allow you the opportunity to provide comment. You're still muted. Can you unmute? Can we unmute her?
So if there's a technical difficulty, if you'd like, okay, if you want to provide my email address in the chat, this person can email me their comment and I can put it in the record and share it with the board.
All right.
Unless they're still here for the end of the meeting.
She just lowered her hand.
Okay. Then we'll move then to Park Avenue site plan. Manager Schwartz to present.
Oh, no,
No?
do you want to do the other one first?
Oh, we'll do the other one first. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Sit back down.
Sorry.
All right, so we'll go to the 2022 Park Avenue Boat Launch Improvements bid, Director Smith to present.
Thank you very much. Right, so on February 23rd, we received 6 sealed bids for the Park Avenue Breakwater and Boat Ramp Replacement Project. So I am going to share the results with everyone and kind of walk through this a little bit in detail and talk about cost, financial impact, some value engineering we've been exploring, and also next steps for the project. And I will add that I have Mark Wagstaff with Smith Group is here to assist with any questions we may receive. So the project, well, the bid was broken up into 2 components. We had the base bid, and then we had alternates. So the base bid is the portion of the project that, if approved, we would move forward with. Alternates are ones that are essentially optional that we may or may not approve or recommend approval for. And I'll explain those in a moment. For the base bid, this was the mobilization and site preparation. So demolition, removal of the breakwater and barge, pulling it out, constructing a new breakwater, constructing a new boat ramp, installing the guide piles for the floating dock, so that the new floating dock system will, they're just like the current one, they go in during the boating season, and they have to come out in the winter or they wouldn't survive like conditions. Oh, sorry. So these are the posts that will go in that the new floating dock system will connect to. And they need to go in with the concrete when the ramp goes in. And there are some bollards on the breakwater that are going in now and others that could go in the future. And I'll talk about that on the next slide. So here's the breakwater, just to orient everyone. Here's the launch ramp. This is where the existing floating dock was, and there is the old barge. And you can see on top of it is the new layout right here. So we talked about the guide piles being part of the base bid. That's these items that are circled here. You can see the new floating docks that would attach to them and come in and out each season. And this section of the breakwater, we would have bollards that would be placed. These are to keep a vehicle from driving onto the breakwater. Those are part of the base bid and would go in at the start of the project. And some of these are removable so that we could bring a vehicle in for maintenance if needed. And for the alternatives, the majority of these alternatives are related to the IDNR boat access area development grant that the Park District applied for. So for that grant, we cannot move forward with the procurement of those items until we have a grant agreement. And so we've put them here as alternates in the hope that we would hear back from the IDNR at this point and be able to move forward. However, we haven't. And I'll give a little more of an update on what we know about the status of the grant in a moment. So those are solar floodlights and poles, solar navigation light with pole, breakwater, bollard and chain system, breakwater cleats, floating dock, the actual floating dock system, and the temporary boat ramp repair removal. So items A1 through A5 are the grant related items, and item A6 has to do with the temporary ramp repair that has been approved. When this bid was released, we had not yet had approval on the temporary ramp repair. It was still off the bid. So what this is saying is the condition will be slightly different for the contractor when we have that ramp repair. So there's an additional cost to remove that additional repair. And just to The alternates that we were talking about, we have 2 solar lights going in. We also have the navigation light. And then we have bollards along this west side, the south side. And there is a small parapet wall here, and we have bollards along the top of that on the east side as well. And we also have the floating docks we talked about, and there are cleats along the breakwater. So these are the bid results from the 6 contractors. And you can see the base bid and the alternates and the combined total. Lakes and Rivers Contracting was our low bidder. We've checked references on this contractor. They've all been extremely favorable. We've been told that this contractor has done excellent work. It's a good communication, has done a great job of staying on schedule, and also had very limited change orders in their past projects. Does the board have any questions about this slide before I move on? Okay. So here's the financial impact for the project. So I'll walk through each of these items. The first is in our 2022 capital budget, we have $2 million. And then the next line item here is the donations from the community. And so this has, there was a goal of 300,000, as you can see, they have exceeded that. We're now at $361,881. So this has been an excellent effort, and we've brought in quite a bit of funds. The next is the IDNR BAD grant, the boat access grant. If awarded, it would be $200,000. And then as far as our expenses go, the first here, the 2.5 million is the combined base and alternate bids from Lakes and Rivers. Then we have a 5% contingency. So the idea here is to earmark some funds for the unforeseen. We don't necessarily anticipate additional costs, but something could happen. You know, for example, this barge, when we remove it, there could be some unknowns behind it that we have to deal with. So staff's recommending that we do carry some sort of contingency in the instance that something comes up and we do have to request change orders. And then Smith Group will continue to work with the Park District during this project. So for construction phase services, there would be some pre-construction services. There's also during the project, there'd be some occasional site visits, review of shop drawings, review of submittals, a review of pay applications, as-built when the project's closed out, things like that. So then that brings us to, with our budgeted funds and our donations, we are over budget by $218,149. So value engineering. So what we've been doing is working with both Smith Group and Lakes and Rivers to look at areas where there could be some savings. The first thing we looked at was the stone that Lakes and Rivers was proposing to use in a portion of the breakwater. This was less of a value engineering effort and more of a clarification where they were utilizing a stone that wasn't necessary. And so we're not getting less here, but they are changing the stone type. And that's going to be a savings of $43,000. So that's a reduction that's confirmed, and we know we will be able to get. A couple other items. Sure. A couple other items are ones we're continuing to look into, and we do not have firm cost on at this time. But so with the floating dock, the piles that we talked about earlier, we're working with a dock manufacturer. We may be able to make some reductions possibly in the number of piles or the thickness of the steel on the piles. There's a few things we're looking at. It's difficult to say what that savings may be. So right now we're saying it could be an estimated $10,000 savings. It could certainly be more, but we're trying to be a little conservative right now. So we're saying it could be around that. In all honesty, it could be $0. We just don't know until we move a little further in that process. But we are optimistic that hopefully there'll be some savings there. And the grant-related items that we looked at, the alternates, we will likely have to bid those out separately because we don't anticipate hearing from the IDNR on the grant at this time. And Lakes and Rivers, while they were, in the end, they were the low bidder, their alternates were higher than some of the other contractors. And so we're confident that when we go out to procure these items, that we can get better pricing than on their bid. And so we're saying right now, we would anticipate $32,000 reduction there. And the reason we're saying that dollar amount is there's a certain dollar amount that we need to spend based on the grant. There's an amount that we're obligated to spend that we said we were going to spend in the grant. So this reduction brings us to that amount. That's at $280,000. So this is probably a good time to talk about the grant a little bit. We have been in touch with IDNR, and unfortunately, what we're hearing right now is they're extremely understaffed and very backed up with grants. And what we were told as of today is that this particular grant, the VAD grant, is moving very slowly, and it won't be likely that we'll hear about any grant awards until fall or even winter of this year. So that does impact our timeline with this project. Now, we don't need to make a decision in a contract approval on this today, obviously, but we will need to in the next couple of months. Otherwise, we would have to rebid this. And I'll talk a little bit more about the schedule in a moment. So just looking at the value engineering in the budget, this was the original budget I shared with everyone with the $218,000 overage. And then the one confirmed value engineering item we talked about, stone, that's credited back here, and that gets us to an overage of $172,000. And then if we add the additional value engineering items that we are looking at, not yet been confirmed, but we are optimistic about, we're at $128,000. Now, as I mentioned, it's not good news right now from the state on the grant. While this doesn't impact whether or not we're going to get the grant, it really slows the process down and has us kind of question if we can count on this $200,000. So if we were to remove the $200,000 from the equation here, obviously we would be $328,000 over. So what we've begun to look at is a process where what else could we do to reduce costs. So as I mentioned, with that grant, we said we were going to do certain things. We're going to put in the floating dock. We're going to put in all the bollards, the lights. And so we can't reduce or eliminate any of those items, or we wouldn't be eligible for the grant any longer. But if we did not receive the grant and we were looking at ways we could reduce the overage for the project. And so I'm going to talk about some of these. So if we did not, if we were not awarded the grant, one opportunity would be to eliminate the solar floodlights and poles. While extremely helpful, certainly something that helps operational, they're not absolutely necessary. You could still operate the boat launch. And once again, these are all items that, while not necessarily recommended, these are items that we could eliminate to try to move forward. Eliminate the crown wall bollards and chains. So as I showed earlier, we have bollards and chains on all sides of the breakwater. On the lake side, the east side, we have a short little wall there. We have bollards on top of that. While they're beneficial, they're not absolutely necessary. So those could be eliminated if we needed. And then lastly, we could consider reducing the length of the floating docks. One option that was considered was putting in the piles for the spec 100-foot docks on either side. But if needed, we could only purchase enough docks, let's say about 60 feet. They come in, I believe, 20-foot sections. So we could, as part of this project, purchase a portion of the docks. And then in the future, when funds allowed, we could purchase the remainder of those if needed. So all of these combined, we're estimating could be about $125,000 savings. And I do want to stress that it's difficult to be certain about these dollar amounts because these would be projects that we would need to bid out again or do an RFP for again. So right now, that's what we're anticipating. So with that all said, you can see the final column we've added there, the no grant award. If we were to take those additional steps to reduce the scope, we would be approximately $200,000 over budget. As far as next steps for the project, staff's going to continue to work with Smith Group and Lakes and Rivers to fine-tune value engineering savings. And I know that Liz Gagola and Brian Romes met with the Parks Foundation and the community members that have been raising funds to discuss the potential of raising additional funds to fill that gap. We have the Finance Committee meeting coming up on March 16th. So staff plans to present on this topic again at that meeting and provide any updates we'll have. So between the April 27th meeting and the March 16th meeting, we do have 2 more board meetings, but I've included this date here just to say that this would be the latest date that the board could approve our contract and we'd still be confident that we could stay on schedule with this project. If we pushed it too much further after that, the bids would no longer be valid and we would be forced to rebid it. And that schedule is planned for September 6th, right after Labor Day, construction start. And I've added in here now, right in the middle of this, is where we anticipate hearing from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources on the grant award. And then our project completion date is May 2023. So that's all I have to share in my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Let's start with Terry.
Well, I'm not sure I have any questions. Just a little impressed by it. Yeah, I wrote some things down, but I think that you kind of handled it. As you were speaking, you were sort of editing your own charts to reflect what we can count on for savings and what we were just hoping for savings. Come back to me.
All right, we'll come
Thank
back to
you.
Terry. Jen,
I don't have any questions right now.
Brian?
I do. You answered most of the things I wrote down. What I didn't hear was if the grant were timely, or even non-timely, what are the odds of us getting it? I mean, how many people, do we know how many people are going for that grant? Will it be awarded?
Unfortunately, they haven't shared that information with us, so we don't know. We feel that we have a very competitive project, but that's all I can really say.
And my only issue with the cutbacks are, if we're gonna do it, we need to do it right. I don't want to put up something that looks like crap. Sorry, it looks junky.
Can't do that.
We have to listen to the trumpet player practice.
My last question is, how much money have we as a park district put into this project so far?
I'll have to get back to you with that. So we're talking like Smith Group's fees,
Just
design fees.
in a ballpark. I won't hold you to it. You can even go low.
150.
I would have to look. I would say likely a couple 100,000,
Okay.
but I would want to
That's
confirm that
exactly what I
number.
was. All right, that's all I have, Barney. Thank you.
Okay, Cal.
I have no questions.
I just wanted to add that we have to be very judicious, and I think as Brian said, about what we take away from the project. And boats do come in after dark, and so we have to provide some sort of lights, I think. And I think having the bollards and the chain on the lakeside is essential because it's a safety issue, from my opinion. And those are my only comments about the reductions. I don't know what the community would say about the length of the boat launch. That could be detrimental. The floating docks.
Yeah,
Terry,
just-
back to you.
just That reminded me of a couple things. I'll start with the floating docks first. So 60 versus 100 could save us some money for future, so we'd have to pay for it. Is it easy to just couple those additional 40 feet onto it?
Yeah, we would want to explore this with the contractor to confirm that, but we think we could do that. I will say, while it would save us now, we would anticipate that final section could certainly cost more. We'd probably pay a premium for it to buy that smaller section at a later date. We're not seeing prices going down either, but we were focused on what we could do to come within as close to budget here. So, and then I will say, as far as the dock goes, there really isn't a magic length, but the 100 feet was recommended because we felt that it would provide adequate access even in extremely low water levels for the lake. And it also would allow opportunities for boats to queue up, which certainly helps operational.
And then with regard to what President Rutter was talking about with the bollards, I saw several bollards on each side. Were these the ones that you were talking about value engineering maybe out? Were those additional to the ones that were lakeside, or does that eliminate all of the lakeside?
It would eliminate all of the lakeside.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, unless the board has an objection, I think this would be a good time, Jeff, thank you. This would be a good time to have the public who wants to speak on this topic address the board. Is there any objection to that?
No objection.
All right. Brian, do you want me to read the? Okay. Each person or representative is limited to speak one time only, and all comments from the public will be limited to 3 minutes per person. If you have nothing new to add, we ask that you refrain from providing public comment. Executive Director Romes, are there any members of the public attending tonight's meeting in person who indicated on the sign-in sheet they would like to provide public comment for the item we just discussed on the agenda?
Yes, I have 2 people on this list. And the first is Sam Cashin.
Tell us your name and address, please.
Sure. Thank you. Sam Cashy, 184 Oak Knoll Terrace in Highland Park. So I just have questions that I'd like to raise. So what are the consequences of not doing this project to the property that is the cities that is in the area? I'm not informed in terms of the water plant, in terms of shore erosion, if this is not done to that beach area. The second are there any options for a phased approach to this project? The third is, what is the 2023 capital budget? And are there multi-year options here to fund this in a more strategic way? Fourth is the contingency budget a park district requirement? Because without the 5%, the gap is much narrower. I appreciate the conservatism of Jeff and how he's done that. But if we're sitting here and we're saying there's uncertainty, I mean, there's a very reasonable chance that no contingency is necessary. So to make a decision and say, hey, you know what, you're underwater because of this is a headwind that is, I'm not sure if you do every project and say every project must have, it's in your board charter. So those are my questions.
If you would like to provide your phone number and email, I'd be happy to follow up and answer the questions.
That'd be great. Thanks, Brian.
Sure, absolutely. So next, Jody and Peter Mordini. So I don't know if one wants to go first. Peter.
Peter Bordini, I live at 1853 Shane Court, Highland Park. Hi, I just want everyone to look around this room. We've gone very far in this endeavor. And to your point, we spent almost 200,000 to get here. And we're 130 some thousand over budget if things work out with these savings. But again, the people in the crowd, our board members, you guys worked so hard with us in this project. And we all know the safety factor, the attraction for Highland Park, for the people in all these new apartments and condos, the younger people. This is what the realtors want. This is how we showcase Highland Park and the Park District. And no matter what you do, people are always attracted to that lake and they're always going to come down. And if we don't have the eyes out there and the people to help other people that aren't so advanced out in the lake, there's always problems. And we've made many rescues. So it's been many years here. I think 7 years since I started with Liza on this. And I know you guys won't give up. We're not giving up. Don't get frustrated, as you said in the beginning, because we're a team. We have to look forward to getting this thing done. You know what it is? You never give up, okay? challenges come our way all the time, especially your fields here. You have challenges beyond challenges, and you always get them done. Because I have not seen yet a project in the park district that you spend over 200,000 in and walked away from it. It's never been done. Never been done. The tax people and the people deserve this project. And I know there's ways to cut costs, even if we have to put the ballards in later on or what have you. But it's something that the public wants and needs. And I'm here for you guys here for us, and we'll get this done. I want everyone happy and positive on this. Don't get depressed. We're almost there, right? Can I get a hand and raise the hands here? Right?
Thank you, Peter. Brian?
Did you want to speak to it? Okay. Okay. Is there anybody else from the public then? I don't think, no? Okay. So
No?
online or virtual?
Virtual? Do we have anybody?
So we have Steve Knapp.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Hey, look at me. Hey, this is great. So thank you all. It's Steve Knapp. I'm at 700 College. I think this looks fantastic. I would just like to throw in, hey, in this sort of state of the economy that we're in, where there's a lot of inflation and everything else, I think the fact that we're, sub 10% over budget is pretty impressive. I would urge the board to, find a few extra bucks and do everything now. I think in the long run, that proves to be a better value than adding on later. That's the first part. The second part is, if we have to cut, if there's a couple $100K we need to get out of there, I think all the voters would agree that's fine. We can live with a little less floating dock. We can live with no lights. All that stuff is fine. So I think, I don't know, was that Cal or who was worried about the aesthetics? I think that stuff doesn't have a big impact. It's a little bit frustrating to not have all the amenities, but if it's between moving forward without that or not moving forward, we definitely want to move forward. We can always find some money for that stuff later. So thanks for listening. Thanks for making an exciting new boat ramp. I think we're all very excited.
Thank you, Steve. Brian, anybody else? No?
I guess that's it.
All right. Well, thank you. We're going to then move back in the agenda to the Park Avenue site plan. Now, Amalia, it's your turn.
Thank you. Do you have my? Oh, you don't? You click on. And then can you also open the one under that one? And then if you can open, can you go back to the holder? And go to back to the main folder, yeah, that one. And then in memos and supporting docs, and then the last one. Okay, thank you so much. Sorry about that. All right, so tonight I am presenting on the Park Avenue site master plan. And you might be asking, we've already looked at this back in August. And we did, but we looked at the preferred concept plan. So tonight I am presenting the summary plan document. And we are recommending that the plan or the summary document come to the board on March 30th for approval. So a reminder of what the Park Avenue Site Master Plan is. It was an initiative of the Lakefront Master Plan, and it is an initiative that consolidates the various planning efforts around Park Avenue into a holistic, sustainable site plan. It was approved in August, and the preferred concept plan was approved in August. And when that was approved, the Park District submitted phase 1 of the preferred concept plan for an OSLAD grant, which we are still waiting on notification. So I'm going to give some highlights on the plan. I do have the full plan document. So if you're interested or have any questions specifically on the plan, I'm happy to go through that. So the plan is divided between north and south beaches. It covers our observations, I know it's not on here, but the process, existing conditions, overview of engagement efforts and the comments that were heard, and an overview of the explanations of the preferred site plan and phasing. So right now, if you go to our website, the preferred concept plan is posted there. But this summary document will really provide that context and the story of how we went about this planning initiative and give a little bit more detail on what is proposed in the various phases. Any questions?
No, we're at your mercy.
That's it, right? Yeah.
That's
so-
all. Oh, that's all I have. That's
Yeah.
pretty short and sweet. So I'm happy to walk through the plan document if of interest.
Why don't- Why don't you just put up the overview so everyone can see the general picture? Don't we have one of those?
The preferred
oh, sure. I'm
concept
happy
plan?
to do that. So to just remind you what the plan is. I have that in my back pocket here. So this is the preferred concept plan that was approved. This is all 3 phases. So just a reminder, there's the improvement to the north lot. So this gives a smoother configuration. You gain 1 spot and has a better orientation and spacing for the boat storage. It has the boardwalk, better connectivity off of the roadway with a sidewalk, boardwalk, better viewing area, and connection with the beach. The boardwalk goes around here. And then there's some fishing access points, some painted access ways that give you that focus where pedestrians may be walking. They're walking there already. This plan does not address the boat launch and barge, which Jeff has already presented on. And then some improvements to the boat storage and orientation configuration right here on the south end. Those are the highlights, I would say.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Are we gonna?
Terry?
Oh,
I'm sorry, Terry.
I cede my time to Commissioner K.
Commissioner Kaplan.
Are we gonna clean up the south side of the yacht club?
I believe, so the repair of the south lot is a separate project.
That's a separate project. In a month or 2, we'll be able to come to committee with an update on that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's it.
Do you see?
Wonderful presentation.
Do you yield back to Terry?
I yield back to Commissioner from East Highland Park, Vice President.
Thank you. No, my question was just, we received the, some pictures today from the snow removal down in the parking lot. I was just wondering if, are there conversations about what the city's gonna do with that snow? Is that a thing?
Yeah, we're working with the city on finding a new location for them to store the snow beginning next winter in a different location.
And this iteration of this has the fence around the lot still, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Jen?
I have no questions. Thank you for the presentation.
Cal?
I have no questions, but is there any public comment on this aspect of the agenda?
We can, if you'd like to open it back up. open it
Yes,
back
we
up.
can. This would be a good time.
Okay. Is there anybody from the public who would like to comment? Present. Okay, none present. If there's anybody online, raise your hand. Okay, sounds like we have a few. Go
So we're
ahead.
gonna go in the order. So it would be Elliot, Rosen.
Hi, thank you very much. First of all, I want to praise the overall plan. I think it's wonderful. I've been living in Highland Park for over 30 years and have used that facility a lot during that time, and mostly on the south side of the facility. I understand what we presented earlier was for the boat ramp, for the concrete boat ramp, which was mostly for bigger boats. In the past, there has been an adjacent small boat ramp just west of that had a kind of gridded surface that allowed smaller boats that could not be launched on the beach, could be launched from there. There was a drum that was kind of a winch. And you may have been mentioned previously in other documents, but was there some accommodation that was going to be made for addressing that?
I think we're continuing the sand ramp, aren't we?
Yes, we are continuing with the sand ramp, and we are looking, to answer your question, President Ruttenberg, we are looking at some improvements to the sand ramp for the longer term. So we're looking at those things.
So the answer, Elliot's yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You.
Okay, so the next speaker is going to be Margaret Winker Cook.
Thank you. Yes, I'm a Highland Park resident and North Shore Yacht Club member, and I was present at previous meetings. And there were several concerns that were raised about making it possible to be able to swim at the North Beach, and about kayak storage and what's planned in this new plan. And I don't see details about those, as well as the concerns. I guess that's probably phase 3 about the issue of erosion. So I was just wondering if that's going to be discussed later on, or if that's been addressed elsewhere.
Amalia, do you have an answer, or Brian?
If you'd like, Amalia can respond to that.
Phase 3 would address the bluff stabilization as part of any effort to create an access route. But it was something that was identified. And again, this consolidates all of our plans in our beach management plan, so that that is something that's been noted in this plan. As far as, I think the other question was it kayak storage?
That was one, and also swimming access as well
Yeah.
on the North Beach.
And I'll just note, I mean, how long is the document, Amalia?
It is about 40 pages.
Yeah, and there's a lot of detail in that 40-page document. And so certainly, again, if you want to put my email address in the chat box, anyone's free to certainly email me, and I'll respond with any questions in detail. You could also provide your email, and I can email your phone number in the chat, unless the board wants me to go into specifics right now in regards to any of those. I can, otherwise I can follow up.
No, but
on
I
these
think
questions.
I think we are providing kayak storage.
Oh, yeah.
The issue, sorry, the issue was that the kayak storage was like a triple layer or something like that, and it was just not going to be possible for a lot of people to be able to access them because they're not strong enough to get the kayaks off the top level, for example. So right now
Yeah,
they're on the beach, and so it's easy to access them. So
And
that's,
again, this entire plan is all conceptual, so nothing in the plan is an engineered document or even an actual plan that's been presented to the board. It's all conceptual, and yeah, so it's mentioned in the plan, I know, but it's so this is all still conceptual.
But that's a good question, a good point about the upper racks and how hard it might be. So we're going to look into the alternatives.
Yes.
okay, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and then our last speaker, I'm not sure if Steve, you wanted to also provide comment again?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey guys, it's me again, Steve Knapp, 700 College. So I just had a couple of things. So the first one is the south lot. I think that was phase 3. Maybe I'm mistaken. But it seems like the south lot needs to be bumped up, since that's actually, destroyed. So I would urge the board to fix the south lot before doing some of this other stuff. The second comment I have is the swimming on the North Beach. I don't know why you all are trying to keep people out of the lake. I mean, everybody wants to swim there. As soon as the guys that are trying to keep people out of the lake turn their back, everybody goes swimming. I think everybody would be just much better served if you put a sign in that says swim at your own risk, like everywhere else in the world. That people want to swim, that's a great place. You know, have a red flag warning on the days when it's dangerous, but other than that, you know, let people swim. The third one is, I think, also phase 3. There was something about expanding the yacht club to 130 people. I didn't really understand where that came from. Do you guys have a comment there?
Do you want me to answer?
I mean, again, this is all very conceptual, so I don't.
Yeah, I would say, you know, that is definitely not needed. You know, the yacht club, it provides some great stuff. There's a small kitchen and some bathrooms and a small area, you know, for whatever. But I think in general, you know, the outdoor space is the important part there. So, you know, as long as the building's not falling down and the roof's okay, I think we're not too worried about the increasing the capacity of the yacht club. And then the last one I have is, if you look at item, I don't know, is that a 1 or an I for the, what we call the 50/50 lot? Can somebody put a mark on the screen? It's on the north side. Yeah, that area right there, that wasn't clear to me how you get access. So that lot is actually quite useful right now because you can back up a trailer and get stuff in there. So my comment is, that's great as long as we have trailer access to that storage area.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
there's no further comments, then we will now move to, I believe, review of vouchers. Director Peters.
She has a bonus announcement.
And before you start, should we not comment on the award?
Oh,
This is how I wanted to start, actually. I'm gonna veer a little bit off of this. We did receive, we found out yesterday that the district has received the GFOA Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting for our 2020 financial statements. And so we're very proud of that. So congratulations to all of us, the whole district. I mean, really, anyone that has anything to do with revenue collection or disbursements of funds, that all trickles through to the statements. And we're really happy about that.
That should be
So,
good.
congratulations. And I can move on to vouchers now. There's not much to say there. We had about $500,000 of expenditures in the past month. The only item over $100,000 as usual is the Paderma health insurance, and that's it. Everything else was really unremarkable unless there are any questions.
Any questions? None? You get off easy tonight. But
Okay,
again,
thank you.
congratulations on a job well done.
Thank you.
Executive Director Romes, any other business from staff or the board?
None from staff.
Do anybody on the board have anything they want to bring up? Seeing none, we've had the public comment. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Move to adjourn.
All in favor? Say aye. Aye. We stand adjourned at 7:12 p.m.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.